Welcome to Created Healthy. I'm Dawn Combs. It's a common idea that God gave us everything we need in nature, but do we believe it enough to walk that out in truth? Often the very same people who say this go looking for answers on how to use food and medicine from man-made sources. Everything man creates comes with a user's manual. Why would God be any different? I challenge you to join me in seeking revelation about our body, mind, soul, and spirit health by digging into His written word and in practicing pure science in the visible world of His creation. Do you think God is against wealth? I think a lot of the dogma that we see in the Christian church is suggesting that folks who are poor are more righteous and better people than folks who have money. And I don't think that's a fair reading of what God is saying. And I know where it's coming from. It's in the parable here that I'm going to talk about today out of Mark chapter 6 through 10. But it's too easy. It's weak and lazy just to decide that God thinks that if you become wealthy, you become evil. So let's talk through some of what's going on, because of course there's a lot going on. The story here goes from Jesus is heading to Nazareth, and he is struggling all throughout these chapters. He's struggling with trying to get the disciples to see who he is. Some people he's telling not to tell who he is. He's healing people, and demons recognize him, and he goes to his own neighborhood, and the people that know him from there and his family think that he is putting on airs and he's gone crazy, and he's dealing with that. John the Baptist is killed by Herod during this story. We have the 7 loaves and a few small fish that Jesus blesses and feeds a crowd that has gone 3 days without food. 4,000, it says he feeds, and then they collect out of that tiny little bit of food. They collect 7 large baskets full of leftovers. We have the Transfiguration, where Jesus takes Peter, James, and John up onto the mountain, and Elijah and Moses appear. Pretty big deal. Jesus shines, and they're able to see now that something is different about this teacher that they're following. But as he begins to reveal more about what he knows is coming for himself, it specifically says they're afraid to ask. I think so many people are stuck by this. It's pride. Being afraid to ask something of someone that you are so intimately in a friendship with, and they're talking about something serious that's coming for them, and you're too afraid to ask because you don't want to look stupid, or you're afraid of the answer. That really hits hard and in the humanness, I think, as I read there. The thing that sticks out to me, though, out of this chapter these chapters, I should say, is the rich young ruler. And this hits me a little bit different right now because I'm contemplating whether I'm going to be moving my house, whether I'm going to be leaving the farm that we have been on for so many years, and what that entails. The immense level of packing, even though we are not rich. You accumulate things. You keep things that you don't need, and you accumulate things that you think you might need for later on. And there's so much lesson to be had, things to learn there in why we accumulate clutter, and perhaps why we should be a little more faithful in what God has in store for us. But that's not where I'm going with this. My headspace is in that idea of all the things that I'm going to have to pack, and how in the world will that even be possible, and how will I do it in the time that I have? When you sell a house, you've got a limited amount of time to find a new house and then to move everything that you own. And for us, that's a home and a homestead and a farm and a business. And there's so much here that when I read this from a different perspective here in Mark, this different angle, it just struck me differently. I have seen the parable of the rich young man from a very different perspective. So I'm just going to tell the story and sum it up. Really nice guy who has a lot of money comes to Jesus and says, "What can I do to get to heaven?" And Jesus says, "Well, honor your father and your mother, and don't kill people, and follow the 10 Commandments." And the guy says, "Awesome. I follow all of those things. But what else?" And part of me says, okay, so this guy gets that there's something missing. He has been following the rules, following the letter of the law. He's been going along, but he's aware enough that that's empty, that there's something that's not in there, that's not satisfying his needs. It's not satisfying a longing in him for correctness in his spiritual life. And so he's come to Jesus to say, "Yep, I do all that stuff, but what else?" And Jesus kind of looks at him, and it says that he's kind of sad. He says, "Well, then sell everything and give to the poor." He doesn't say give everything to the poor. He says, "Sell your belongings, give to the poor, and follow me." And I have seen this in the past with this nice man walks away sad because he knows that he has so much, and then we're kind of left with that. And people have interpreted this in a lot of different ways, and I have interpreted it as, well, he's sad because he realizes, it says that because he has so much, that he's sad because he knows he's not capable of getting rid of everything, or he knows that he'll never be able to do that, so he's sad on the opportunity that he's going to miss out with a deeper relationship with Jesus. But I started to see it in this different way this time, where here's Jesus. He has come through this region, and as he's going through each different city, he's been picking up his 12 disciples as he goes along. He sees some in a fishing boat. He sees some in a tax collecting booth. He's going along and he's inviting them specifically to come with him. But beyond the people that he's inviting are people that are being healed and then fall in line. They just walk away from their home and anything that they own, and they start to follow Jesus wherever he's going. He's hauling along behind him these crowds everywhere he goes of people that are becoming followers. This isn't just the disciples. This is other people who just chucked everything and decided to follow him. And there's a limited amount of time. You've got him coming through your city, and next week he's going to be on tour in Jerusalem, and after that it's going to be to another city. And so he's on the move. And I suddenly saw this idea of this rich young ruler walks away sad because Jesus points out, yes, you've been following all the rules, but what you're missing is what's coming. What you're missing is an actual relationship with me, a chance to walk with me. And to do that, you need to go home, sell everything, give it to the poor, and jump in line with all of these other people and follow me. And the ruler walks away sad because he knows he has so much. That's what it says. He knows that he has so much wealth and so many belongings. And he walks away. What if he walks away because he's sad that he's going to miss the opportunity to walk with Jesus, because he knows that this is a limited offer. He's only here today, and tomorrow he's going to move on, and there's just not enough time to sell off what he's got because there is so much. He's got so much clutter. He's got so much in the barn and so much in the basement and so much in the first floor and in the bedrooms. There's not enough time to sell it all off and give it to the poor and make arrangements before Jesus is already gone. And he's going to miss it. And he's sad. It doesn't mean that he's lost his salvation. It doesn't mean that he's a bad person here. He's not a bad person for having all of these belongings. But Jesus walks on and he talks to his disciples and he says, it is easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich person to join the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven is him coming, his covenant, a relationship with him. What if what he's saying is the rich person has so much, there's so much clutter in the way that when they go to pack up and try to follow me and try to go with me, it's going to take so much time that they're going to miss the opportunity. It doesn't make them bad. It makes them have so much that it's that much more difficult for them to be mobile. Israel, as they were traveling through the wilderness, they were ready to pack up when a trumpet blew in the morning. They were ready to pack everything up, collapse their tent, pack up camp, and go on the move. And so God is ready for us to be able to do this at a moment's notice, to follow him. Maybe there's a nudge to go to Africa tomorrow. And what would you do if you have all of these belongings? The more you have in the world, the more distraction, the harder it's going to be to follow along with God's kingdom, the more you accumulate. And there are many people that I do believe God gives to accumulate on purpose. He gives his resources to that person, and they are wealthy and they are seen and they're popular and they're influential, but he's giving those resources to be used so they aren't weighing that person down. We aren't meant to be weighed down with possessions and riches and responsibilities in the world, because we need to be traveling light enough that we could sell it all and jump onto the road and follow Jesus tomorrow if he gave us that opportunity. Think about that opportunity. I think the rich man knew who he was. He came to him. He came to him on purpose, knowing who he was. And he walked away knowing that he had accumulated so much and he had so many responsibilities that he had accumulated around him in the worldliness of his life that he was going to miss out on this opportunity to walk from city to city and have private conversations and hear Jesus speak to him personally and have an amazing relationship. And I think maybe that is what we're supposed to take away from the rich man. And I think about here we talk about, he keeps talking about the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Maybe it's actually an order of showing up, because the people that are held first in the world's esteem right now have so much clutter that they've got to put down, that the folks who have less, that are last right now, can drop what they have and follow immediately and get into the kingdom. And they'll be the first to get in. So the last become the first. And the first, they're still going to make it, but it's going to take them a lot more time, and they'll be the last. I pray that God is blessing you today, and that this is something that you ponder, and let me know what you think. This is a totally different perspective on this story than I've ever seen before. I've just accepted what I thought over and over again, and this is really cool. I'm gonna go for a walk, and I'm gonna think about it, and I hope that you do too. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share with a friend. And I'm always interested in hearing what God is laying on your heart. So drop me a rating or review, or join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Dawn Combs Really.